afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Social Currents, where we hang out with Hong Kong's leading socialistas and talk about the cool social media related news of the week. I am very honored to have with us a first-timer on the show, but a longtime friend of HK Social, good friend Rina Hiran. Can I say the last name? Hiran?
You did not say that right. It was Hiranand.
Hiranand.
Yeah, that's
Rina
it.
Hiranand.
How
Now,
can you get that wrong?
everybody, please, I also have to sort of issue an apology early on here. Last night was the HK Social and TDHK Christmas party, of which, well, 3 of the 4 of us were at. And it
We were all there.
It did. Rena, were you there?
Yeah, she
I
was
was
there.
there very briefly.
Oh, well, all 4 of us were there. And by this fact that I didn't notice Rena was there gives you some idea of what kind of party it might have been. So, apologies for messing the last name, Rena. You are a big favorite of ours. She's a senior communities manager at Byte in Hong Kong, and probably one of the great pioneers of augmented reality birthday party games in all of Asia. We'll maybe ask her a bit more about that later.
Thanks.
Back with us as usual, we've got Andrew Layden, aka Penguin 6, startups, app writer, general
Attorney, curmudgeon.
Yeah, former Capitol Hill secret agent, and author of a book on Gulf War stuff. Not that any of that gives him credentials for being on the show, but simply he does spend an enormous amount of time hanging out on social media, making him a great sort of friend to have on the show. And of course, Ali Bullock, head of communications over at World Wildlife Fund, former social media manager for other major brands, and blatant self-promoter. Always good to have you on the show, Ali. And of course, I'm Jay Otway, speaker, author, consultant, and hungover Christmas partier. So let's get into the show. I think we're talking this week about Twitter and Instagram. For those of you who haven't seen the story, let me just pull one up here on the screen for you. You know, Twitter and Instagram and everything have gotten big when The Economist is now. Yes, The Economist is writing articles to explain Instagram and Twitter to the world. So no longer are these sort of closet geek sort of battles. These are the sort of major concerns that The Economist is now grappling with.
Well, you know what's number 1 in Google News is Vanity Fair. Writing about this.
Yeah, I read the Vanity Fair article as well. Did anybody else read it? It starts off sort of like some little valley girl talking about her friends in a very gossipy sort of way, like, totally, did you hear about Instagram and Facebook? But I think actually the Vanity Fair article struck a really great chord, because that's sort of what it feels like. It feels like, this feels like just really sort of petty infighting.
This feels like the 2 popular kids in school just broke up, and we're all here to talk about it without them noticing. This is exactly what it feels like to me. Like, maybe they weren't the most popular kids. They're kind of the cool alternative kids. And we're all thinking, like, we thought this was going to be amazing. We thought they were going to be like social sweethearts and ride off into the sunset. But no, social divorce.
Certainly not best friends forever anymore. And Instagram owes so much of its beginnings to Twitter. The pictures were really being shared out on Twitter in the beginning more than they were, I mean, Facebook. The Facebook purchase back in April obviously made a big shift that way. But who doesn't see the puppet hand of Facebook, you know, in this fight as well? Like these 2 best friends forever have been broken up because there's a sort of a vicious love triangle thing going on, no?
It's an older guy from college, and he has a car. That's what's happening right now. Instagram's being lured away by a convertible. Well, I think the difficult thing is a lot of these, I mean, to take the analogy one step further, a lot of these social networks are, so to speak, growing up. And they're getting out of that initial phase of tech infancy when it's all about the innovation and it's all about we've just done something really, really, really cool. And a lot of them are entering into these really difficult conversations of, I need to make money. I've got tons of these employees, and I need to make sure that I can pay them. What do I do next? And this is the type of thing that I do think we're going to see a lot more of, these kind of drawing lines in the sands based on mergers and acquisitions. But what's really difficult is that for the end consumer, we don't want lines in the sand, right? We want more integration. A lot of Instagram's success in China came from when it decided to actually integrate with Weibo and adding that extra layer of connectivity. So it's kind of a difficult split here between what has to happen on the sort of monetary and up there finance level, but what the
Oh, I think we lost her.
Well, to sort of build on Marina's point, while we wait for her to sort of come back, I keep hearing this argument as well, that this idea that we're going to take that Instagram doesn't want to put any pictures on Twitter because they want all the links to drive all the traffic to Twitter. To Instagram. Instagram wants the traffic. But this is crazy because Instagram doesn't serve any ads, right? I mean, what does Instagram need traffic for?
Well, Instagram was never about making money, though, was it, Jay? I mean, they had no business model. My key question to everybody on this panel is Instagram going to go the way of MySpace? I mean, now Twitter's cut it off. It's cut off its lifeblood, its supply from that kind of, social media fire hose. And now Twitter's got its own filters. So that would be my question: is who thinks Instagram can survive?
Well, weren't the filters? The filters were just like they were sort of a real extra sort of FU at the end. I mean
that was rubbing it in.
It doesn't really feel to me like Twitter needed filters, but it did. Oh, Rena's back. Are you right, Rena?
I'm back. I'm all right. Nothing happened. It's all good. Girl's back in the room.
I can't hear you.
There you are.
Can't hear me yet? There we go.
Jay, I agree with you. I think it was a bit like breaking up, to take the sweetheart analogy. It was a bit like, by the way, I'm breaking up with you, and by the way, I gave you an STD.
I'm dating your sister.
Yeah, I dated your sister. I mean, it was a big fuck you to Facebook from Twitter, and Jack Dorsey's an original investor in Instagram, which makes it really a bit weird.
He got his money and he ran. Well, another analogy is what happened with Flickr. Flickr was a standalone entity and got grabbed by Yahoo, and now it's become almost an afterthought to Yahoo properties. In fact, I just read Marissa Mayer was talking about a Yahoo renovation strategy that was going to focus around Flickr, a major renovation of Flickr being proposed in the next few months. So what will happen with Instagram falling into the Facebook fold? I really don't know if it's going to go the way of a Flickr.
Well, the important thing to remember here is that communities are what make social media platforms very successful. And a lot of what Instagram's success hasn't been because of filters, or it hasn't really been because of some sort of really great app that they had. In fact, they dragged their feet on producing Android versions of it and things for a long time. It was basically just selling. I mean, to Ali's point about the business model, the business model was sell an iOS app and get all the cool photographers using it and getting as many people using it. And they did a really great job of that. But yeah, then the purchase by Facebook, the opening up of their web properties, all of this stuff has sort of diluted what Instagram was. And now all this fighting with Twitter, all of it suddenly make me think like, yeah, does it become the next Flickr? Is the community going to abandon it?
Well, I think, I don't know if you guys, you can hear me, so I'm just going to speak anyway. Great. I think what's interesting what you said is that point about communities. Instagram has actually been quite lucky in terms of the fact that now that they've lost another element of its social connectivity, it actually does have a community that loves what it does. They organize meetups independently of the app and do things in real life and connect with each other. So whether or not that is affected, I think they do have a good base community to continue to play with. How that community grows is the big question now.
I don't know how it grows.
It does. I'm not sure it does grow, does it? I mean, does it shrink?
I see. You're asking, is Instagram the next whatever? Is Instagram the next Twitter? I mean, I'm already feeling Twitter starting to shake down, and I just don't know how Instagram's going to keep going. Well, I'm tired of Instagram.
I think both of these two, and these sort of fights, I don't think they're really that good for anybody. It gets everybody in the community a bit nervous. It gets everybody sort of thinking, oh, it's kind of lost its luster. It doesn't feel as warm and friendly and fuzzy here as it used to. Yeah. There's all these these restrictions now on how I can use it and who I can talk to. And well, I was friends with them before, but now they split up. I can't be friends with Twitter's friends. I have to only be friends with Instagram's friends. It really is a high school thing where it's getting very catty. But Twitter's been on this rampage all year. Like Twitter started this fight as well, like a while back when they stopped Instagram from being able to import friends from Twitter.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a lot of this going on for some time, and it's ugly, and I think it's diminishing diminishing Twitter's brand probably more than it is Instagram's.
Does Twitter need an intervention? Is this what needs to happen? We need to play nice, Twitter. We know that you're on a self-destructive binge, but we love you for who you are, not what services you bring us.
It's all the lawyers' fault. They're all locking everything up.
It's always all the lawyers' fault.
But here's a question for you guys. Do you actually use whatever your Twitter interface is? Is that what you're using to look at Instagram, or are you looking at Instagram through the app?
I look at it through the app.
Same here.
Yeah, speaking from a kind of segue point of view, where I've always very much been a geek and always dived into communities before some of my friends have. Seeing my friends come into it who may not have Twitter, they like the fact that they have a social network that's controlled in a certain way. A lot of people freaked out about web profiles because they were like, well, I don't want people to see my Instagram photos. Firstly, it begs the question, what on earth are you doing on Instagram that's freaking you out so much? But that's kind of interesting, like what happens now to the people who, like us, who are early adopters, who very much like social integration across as many networks as possible. It seems like we're the ones who are going to taper off usage of a social platform which doesn't have ultimate connectivity, but people who may be joining it from a more everyday social kind of perspective, here's a photo of my cat, please like it, they may still continue to use it.
Well, and there's power users. Like last night, I had a chance to talk with Tyson Wheatley, who's been.
Oh God, I was about to ask, is he okay? I mean, do we need to send him a card or something?
Yeah, Tyson's.
Oh my God.
Oh,
here
we have a late arrival. Hyper Casey is in the house. Greetings, Mr. Lau. How are you? Can you hear us? Nod.
Yes.
Try say something. No, we can't hear you.
Yes. Have your pink bunny rabbit say something.
This is the best way to have Cow Casey on mute. Can you hear me?
Her arrival has kicked out Rena.
Yeah, we can hear you briefly. You need to sit closer to your mic, but Rena's going in and out now. Anyway, you were on the thought about Tyson.
Oh, right. Tyson last night was saying how I asked him, how he felt about it. Now, Tyson Wheatley's got a massive invested interest in staying on Instagram. It's become a big part of who he is. His role at CNN's been expanded to be, in charge of a lot more social media. His presence on Instagram has been hugely successful. He's got more than 200,000 followers. He runs these weekend outings called Insta-Yays where people come and hike. For somebody like Tyson, he's not, no matter what or how bad things get on Instagram, going to jump ship very easily. It matters so much to him, and he could care less whether it shows up on Twitter or not, because his entire community is on Instagram.
He can't jump ship, Jay.
No, he's in too deep. But
Casey, can you hear us?
Yep.
What are you sticking with Instagram despite no matter what happens over there?
No, I'm not really married to Instagram. I think it's okay. I don't think it's the be-all end-all social media platform, though. That's for sure. But I didn't like the Twitter filters. I didn't think they were that great. So I don't think I'll be. I'm not married to anyone. I use Path a lot too to post photos. They have some nice filters on there.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you just tuning in late, this is our good friend Casey Lau from Popcorn Networks, which has a great collection of blogs, including Butterboom, Neon Punch, Wine Buzz. Am I missing something?
No.
No. That's it. Just that entire empire. Also, though, big with Startups HK scene and other sort of geeky events around town. Probably our most high-profile iFanatic in town as well. Always great to have you on the show, Casey.
Thank you, Jay.
Yes, that's an iPhone. Ali, you didn't bring your iPad Mini with you today? Oh yes.
Oh yeah, baby.
It's my new iPhone 5.
Surrounded
By us.
Look at that, like a ninja.
Rena's having real trouble staying in the
You
conversation.
like the iPad Mini, Ali?
Love the iPad Mini. Thanks for the advice, Casey. It is awesome, I have to say. Absolutely love it, 100%. It's as good as you said.
Did you get a dog wallpaper for it already?
It's coming next week. Chew proof.
Chew proof.
So any other thoughts on what's the future of Instagram these days, where it's going?
Let's be honest, Jay, it's not looking good, is it?
Well, not looking good for who? Like I said, guys like Tyson are going to stay with it. The real heavy users are going to be there. And whether they get any new adoption or not, does that matter? I mean, it's all going to be part of Facebook's 1 billion people in a short while, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm beyond bored with Instagram. I mean, there's just I think I talked about this a couple of weeks ago when we were talking. I enjoy Instagram for as the on the ground scene news. Like if there's an earthquake, it's really cool to see what's really happening on the ground before CNN.
You can take that picture with anything, though. Like it doesn't have to be Instagram. I mean,
exactly. But Instagram just has the user base that I know, if a UFO lands in Ginza in Tokyo, someone's going to be putting it up on Instagram.
I mean, ideally, I'd like to see, Facebook's mobile app improve to a point where I'd consider if I wanted a picture to show up on Facebook, be it an Instagram type picture, that I'd use that app to take the picture. But the idea of booting up a big, heavy Facebook app to take a picture seems ridiculous, right? I mean, the first thing I'm going to do is to go into the fastest camera app I've got so that I can grab that moment. It seems nuts to try and use another heavy app to take a picture.
Oh yeah, I take pictures with my camera and then share it out, through that. With the iPhone now is Facebook and Twitter direct, and sometimes Instagram.
Casey, do you do that as well? Do you just take the picture and then run filters on it afterwards?
Yeah, I was just at the Apple Store preview and Hyacinth Place, and of course, taking a lot of photos really quickly. I wouldn't use Instagram's camera to do it. I just use the built-in camera to shoot as many pictures, and I'll run them through filters afterwards. Definitely, it's faster, and because you can't, just posting photos to Instagram without context of some sort of text around it, it's kind of difficult, right? It's kind of like a tweet still. So just taking pictures and stream is not good. So I think using the different kinds of camera apps on the iPhone is much better for covering an event or anything like that.
I completely agree. All right, I'm feeling bad for Rena. She's relentlessly trying to join the group, but it's somehow not connecting all the way. She must be having some Wi-Fi issues or something. Hopefully we'll get her back. Want to shift into talking a little bit about the new G+ communities. For anybody who hasn't seen them yet, let me see if I can find a picture here. Somewhere here, something like that. So anyway,
That wasn't me.
Who's playing with Google Effects?
That was me. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
So awesome. All right, so Google Communities launched. Essentially, these are they're kind of like groups on Facebook or on LinkedIn, except they've got really snazzy interface and pretty big buttons and sort of a nice user interface with them. Hooray, she's back.
Oh my God, I'm changing my mind about Google Communities. It sucks.
We were just about to talk about communities, actually.
Well, here's my segue. If it works, I'm sure it'll be great. But if it doesn't, this happens.
All right. How's your? It's usually the Wi-Fi more than the.
It's our actually our Wi-Fi is normally not a big issue here, so we'll see how it goes. If I drop out again, continue without me.
We'll soldier on.
You'll be able to make it.
So here's my problem with communities. I've had a nice little look at them from sort of the 30,000-foot view, and there's a ton that I want to definitely click on. But I've been down this path before. Like on LinkedIn, I must have joined, I don't know, 50 groups. Went through the same process on Facebook. I almost never end up going back into those groups and using them at any point. They're not places that I want to hang out. Now I'm hoping that the G+ ones will be different, that there'll be enough interesting people talking within those that I'll want to hang out and spend time there around these really focused ideas and topics and things. Has anybody else experienced that sort of thing? Has anybody got a group of anywhere on social media that they hang out and talk about something?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple private groups, but my big problem with what Facebook's done and with what LinkedIn has done, it's not dramatically very different from the old email newsletter groups of the past, right, of the Yahoo groups ilk. It's basically the same thing, but just on a new platform. So the reason why I'd be excited about Google Communities is the ability to share rich content, to actually talk to people face-to-face. That's kind of the next step in how you want to manage a group, right? What I'd be more concerned about is how transparent everything is. I mean, that's the greatest thing about Google, is that everything informs everything else. It informs search, it informs this, it informs that. I mean, if Casey wants to talk about his incredibly sad Gundam fandom, does he really want to do it on a Google Plus community where everybody can see what content he shared? Probably.
Casey, any worries about looking dumb in public?
Casey has no worries.
Apparently not.
No.
That's not an issue, apparently. You basically get into any kind of... I just went to a conference, and basically, as soon as you start to do something stupid, 50 phones come out and start filming you. So basically, if you're in a social media digital group, even mildly, you're gonna get busted. So I really don't think anybody can say anything about that anymore. Something to do with those cameras rather than take pictures of coffee cups, I guess.
Mutually assured humiliation. It keeps the world from tipping over the
go back
edge.
to your point, yeah, I definitely think that the communities and groups is a good thing, and I'm also like Rena. We have a iPhone, iOS group that we trade tips on. You know, new news that people may not have seen. We'll have like in Facebook, yeah, in Facebook, and because Facebook, as you know, in Hong Kong is so popular, so it's just easier to get everybody in there. And then, of course, we have the Startups HK group, which has all the startups in there, and they all talk and share story links and you know, all kinds of interesting things. So, and we do that because it's good to keep the group, you know, the hardcore group together, and then we have like a public page for the looky-loos who just want to see what's going on, right? So the startups have like a private place to talk, and of course, you know, as you know, like trying to share all the Apple news on my public feed is probably annoying to a lot of people, so don't want to hear about it. So it's better just to throw it into a group. So I like how people try to segregate that stuff, especially with like, I want to teach that to a lot of families, new fathers and new mothers who apparently think that everybody cares about their baby, but actually not, just their own personal family does. That's where groups come in, I think, very well. For Google Communities, I don't really know. I mean, I don't think I have enough people just following me alone on the basic pages to actually, in the circles, and to worry about adding in communities. Because we have you know, Startups HK up on the Google Plus, and it's just, yeah, you know, I'm a big, as you know, I'm a big fan of it, and I try to push it, but it gets no feedback. Even LinkedIn is getting more feedback for that. So, and then yeah, again on LinkedIn we have a personal group for Startups HK where people can post like whatever's happening there in their area that you want to promote, things like that, to the other startups. So it works very well. You know, just a couple spammers come in once in a while, you just kick them out, and then everything's cool, and it's segregated. That's why maybe you don't see me so much on the public feeds anymore, like Facebook, because it's for me, it's splintering off into these separate groups.
Yeah, I think that, and that's a growing trend with a lot of people, is to get away from being everything public and more into these sort of focused groups. And I think that's what Communities is trying to do. And I think there's the folks that are trying to push brands to start doing this as well, that you don't need to be trying to hit everybody with your brand message. What you'd want to do is try and talk to the people who share, like if you sell hiking boots, you want to talk to the people who like hiking. And you want to talk about outdoor sports, and you want to talk about that sort of thing. And I think that's sort of a really great way to sort of, in a way, I'm really hoping to see more of the sort of social media stuff move. But it really starts to break this mold in our minds that mass is what matters, and that, you know, having tens or hundreds of thousands of audience is what matters. Instead, what matters is having strong communities that interact. And then for me as well, that your key point there is is if you put something into a group and there's no feedback on it, I mean, the group doesn't exist. The community is sort of dead. It's that empty classroom syndrome where you walk into an empty classroom and you write something on the whiteboard and then you walk out and then you come back like a few weeks later to see if anybody else has written anything on it. And that's just not nearly as fun as in being in a packed room with animated sort of debate and discussion going on in real time.
The communities I've joined have been pretty dull so far. I find it more interesting just to search for terms and read the live stream. Jump in. There's, I don't know how many bajillion Doctor Who communities that have been formed. And it's just easier to see what's new by searching. I don't know. I haven't played with it enough, I guess. What communities have you joined?
Well, like I said, I've yet to sort of join them because I've been building, as I always do, I build lists, right? In this case, circles.
Yeah, circles are much easier.
People who are kind of similar anyways. Like, they don't maybe know they've been grouped together in a community, but they are a community in my mind, and everything they put out sort of goes together. And I think that's more interesting for me, but...
Yeah, it is kind of strange how Google Plus started around the circle idea, basically self-segregated communities, and then to come back with a community page, it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of like what we've already been doing.
Well, I think where this is going to see utility isn't, and this is maybe something that Ali can speak to as well, but is particularly for NGO interest groups, lobbying, a good way for you guys to get organized online, share content easily and effectively within a social network. Maybe that's where it's going to see some traction. I think where the difficulty is when you try to tell people who are on social networks to start up groups and start up communities, most people are in it for their personal interest. It's when you tap into people like who, as you were talking about the Doctor Who fandoms, or as I'm talking about with NGOs, where you have a need for this. This is where Google Plus, if they market themselves more effectively, could probably enter into the conversation. I mean, they've kind of started to try to do this with Hangouts, right? I think their biggest problem is that they've always labeled themselves as this Facebook-type competitor, but their utility, Google Plus's utility to specific interest groups, the additional tools it gives you on top of what it gives you as a social layer is probably the direction I could see it running with. I mean, from a WWF point of view, you could have a full group with all of your lobbyists in each APAC country. You can organize hangouts. You guys can share tips and best practices really quickly and really efficiently. This is a campaign we just ran in Hong Kong. It was great. Do you guys want to try it out in China and let us know your unofficial feedback here? We just tried using these signs. You can print them out from the group right here. I mean, in some ways it could work.
Ali, are you going to hire Rena?
You should, Ali.
I definitely would hire Rena in a second if I could, if I had the budget. Yeah, look, realistically, I think Rena's quite right. I think the biggest problem, though, and I'm going to agree with Casey on the record on this one, is that not enough people are on Google and Google+. I totally agree with Rena's idea.
What are you talking not enough people? 500 million registered users, 227 million active ones. It's bigger than Twitter.
But it's not, I don't see people using it enough.
Because you're not there.
Why were you all using Facebook then? I agree with Rena's ideas. I'm kind of taking down some notes about stuff I'm going to do. But I just don't know why, and I agree with Rena, but why are more NGOs and other people not using all these lists? I just wonder if there's too much social media, and we've kind of all got used to Facebook.
But we've agreed that Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, that they're all circling the drain, man. They're like, the days are numbered. We got to move on.
Well, it's just a matter of talking to different people. I mean, my Google Plus list is almost 8,000 right now. My Twitter is 1,000, and I've been on Twitter 5 times as long as Google Plus. But I've segregated. Most of my Twitter stream is Hong Kong-related stuff and random bits of my life, and my Google Plus is mostly tech and military stuff, which I've developed a following for.
And you had that great story about the woman getting tasered outside the Apple store last week. I loved that one.
Oh, you love tasers. Taser. But actually, WWF, I think it might be your headquarters office, has already started the community page. I'm taking a look at it right now, but there's only 10 members. So.
But I mean, if organizations push the charge, right? Like, I mean, even PR agencies now, they say you need to have a Google Plus account because you need to understand how you can use it for your client. If you don't use it yourself, you're never going to be able to advise them, right? So say, for example, from an NGO point of view, it's a free service. All you have to do is pay for the internet. If everybody has to sign up for it and you start experimenting, what's the loss? What's the cost?
That's true. I agree, Rena. I'm taking some notes. I mean, you're right. I've been woeful at ignoring Google Plus for a long time, and you know, of course, for NGOs, it's always going to be the problem of resource. We've never got enough resource, and we're always behind the curve on doing.
Yeah, well, that's part of one of the problems. That actually relates back to our first thing. The APIs for Google Plus, you know, pulling data from other social networks is still extremely difficult. Whereas, you know, we've been talking about Twitter and Facebook integration, and of course all the other integrations with Instagram. Google Plus is still a silo, and you know, Ali's got to commit basically a Google Plus person. So.
Indeed, there isn't a really great tool out there that lets you post to everything at once. G Plus has definitely made itself harder to push stuff in and out of. We're just about out of time. To wrap up each week, I invite my guests to pass on any little virally memey thing that's come across their desk that's wooed them or entertained them or wowed them in any way. I've got one here on behalf of Casey pointed out to me as well. I hope I'm not stealing your thunder, dude. But in keeping with today's sort of topic, it is the... share window there. This is the YouTube college humor parody. You guys seen this one? Did you guys see this one? Yeah, it's
I've seen it.
Yeah, a mocking of, and the thing is, what's so I guess what hurts so much about the video is how true it is. The fact that I think I've taken every one of those pictures.
Now, what grabbed my eye is there's a new Twitter account called Drone Stream. And Drone Stream is a graduate student's attempt to tweet every drone strike the United States has conducted over in Pakistan. But what's happened from that is that they've discovered a possible war crime in that drone strikes have been following in what's called a double tap. There's a first hit from one and then a second hit a few minutes later that is designed to take out the first responders, which is a war crime. So interesting way how Twitter has sort of unveiled this, because the guy has had to tweet, you know, a massive amount of big data. He did it for a week and he only got up to about 2009, 2010. He's still at it right now. So the Twitter name is Drone Stream, and you'll probably be hearing more about that in the next few days.
That's totally depressing.
Hey, it's us geeks, you know.
Well, in that sort of vein, if you want something really interesting, try to look up I think it's called the Blitz, the Bomb Project. And
I saw that. That was awesome.
That was so awesome. So somebody mapped all, like, the location of almost every single bomb that dropped on London during the Blitz, which is just super.
On a Google map, yeah.
Yeah, on a Google map. And so you can actually, it's this whole idea of living history, right? London's one of those cities where you're always walking with ghosts, and it's only from a particular point of view. And if you look this up, there's like this aerial view of London being hit by bombs. It is insane how many there are.
Bombsite.org.
That's it.
Is the website, and it is, yeah, as Rena said, it's amazing. Just amazing amount of bombs. I mean, it's not totally accurate. There was a few that hit, you know, a couple football stadiums that I know weren't hit. But if you look at you can see my screen share here. You know, every red dot is a bomb blast over London. So
that's pretty cool. But to lighten up a little bit, everybody should look up the video of the German guy trying to jump in the icy pool. I watched it 5 times this week.
Here you go.
Siskil. Share it.
Share it.
Oh, you got to go back a little bit.
Here we go.
Yeah, this was one of the top of the year, actually. I think it had like 20 million views, the original.
Oh,
It's gonna hurt. Ouch.
So if you thought you were having a bad day.
Ouch.
Yeah, he was doing a promo video for his new band. He was going to jump into the icy water, and the ice was a little bit too thick.
Yeah.
Important side note, he's actually eBaying his shorts. If you go into the original web and follow the description, his shorts are now on eBay. the original shorts from the Iceman video.
Oh, internet, never change.
Yes.
Oh, that good old internet.
Yeah.
It's sharing little things like this that brings us closer together. Casey, Ali, you guys got anything else?
I've got mugs for sale for Christmas. Why not buy a panda mug for your loved one this Christmas from the Panda Store in Central?
It's always a good idea to buy charitable things for family members. Ethical consumption.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ali. Casey, Free Plug Friday. Casey, what do you got?
I have this app. It's called Polar.
Polar? I saw that on your phone. I don't know what it does.
What's it do?
So it's really a very simple app, and it's just been quite addictive to me and some other my friends. Basically, you ask it a question. You ask the community a question, and people have a yes or a no answer, or a left or right answer, and that's it. And it's really easy to make them and very easy to track them. So people usually ask questions like turkey or ham sandwich, and you just vote with your thumb on the turkey or ham, and that's it. And you keep going through all of them, and you can do like a ton of them. Better sunglasses. If you have to choose a Wes Anderson film, is it The Royal Tenenbaums or Moonrise Kingdom? And so you just vote on them. I don't know if you can see that on the screen there, but it's very simple, and you can make them yourself. You create them. I know it sounds extremely, extremely frivolous. It's actually quite addictive, and I've been playing with it for like 2 weeks, and I can't stop playing with it. Every time I see something in the news, I'll ask a question. Like my favorite new thing is the IKEA monkey, and so I just ask questions of people like the IKEA monkey. And then they say yes or no, and it's just easy to click on the magnifying glass, and you add a photo. It searches Google Images and pulls it in right away, so you can do a yes or no question, right? And it's obviously mostly from the States because the questions are very American, like what's your favorite sports team and fast food and things like that. But it's quite funny when you get more like morality questions in there as well, and philosophy questions. So that is a free app, and I just have to say the UI and the UX design on it is amazing. I'm sure they can add more features to it, but this is something I think that as it grows and the community grows around it, it will become a very powerful little tool there for getting these kind of votes. So it's called Polar, like polar bear,
or bipolar,
and like pole, like a
one end or the other. So how does the community
like
thing work?
bipolar, yeah,
Like,
exactly.
do you end up do you actually get to know people on it?
Yeah. People who vote on your polls, you can see all their name and profiles. So yeah, it's like you open a little social network. Oh, and here today is Polar just passed 1 million votes today. I think it's been out there for less than 30 days now. So they've already had 1 million people vote on their polls. So I think that's pretty amazing. That's what I call traction. It's very simple. It's a very simple app, but I can see it different ways to monetize it and different ways to make it bigger. But I think it's just starting off. It's just beautiful. This polar bear character they have is just really cute and simple. And yeah, it's free. I think it's exciting. But yeah. So sorry, what was your question?
that was the question. Yes or no? Yes. Yes, we like Polar.
Yes, we like it.
All right. That then brings us to the end, thank goodness, of another Social Currents. I'd like to first of all thank Casey for throwing one hell of a party last night. Thank you, TDHK. That was brilliant. Amongst Casey's titles we mentioned earlier, he is also the co-organizer of Twitter Drinks Hong Kong, a monthly gathering of Twitterati, Digerati, and Socialistas. Without any boring content to sit through, you just get to partay. Rena, fantastic to have you on the show. Can you leak any of your secret plans for your next augmented reality game?
I can, yeah. So my brother's Christmas present this year, I'm pretty confident he's not watching this, because otherwise this is going to suck. But no, my brother's Christmas plan this year will be an amazing race type thing around one of Hong Kong's theme parks. So if you check in with me in January, hopefully I'll have more details to share.
What did you guys do last year?
So for his last birthday, we did a social media treasure hunt with 30 stops around Hong Kong, from Kowloon Tong to Sha Tin to Disneyland to Tsim Sha Tsui to Causeway Bay and back to Central and then back to Kowloon Tong. And each stop was themed around something that he loves, something geeky. So we did a Ghostbusters stop where he had to dress up like a Ghostbuster, charge into Central Library, and find 3 people hidden in the library to Ghostbust them. I buried a sword in the sand in Clearwater Bay for him to pull up. So this year will be limited within one geographical area, but to up the ante, I'll ask 3 teams to join my brother in the competition. So I think that'll be really fun if people from the Hong Kong social or THK community want to get involved.
We'd love to get involved. And it was all driven by the mobile device, right? Like you had it.
Everything was driven mobile. So I did this last year, April 2011, and everything was done via his phone or his iPad, and I used Twitter, Instagram, Foursquare, and Facebook to track his movements around the city, give him his next clues, and reward him for everything else. It was fun. It was fun.
Well, we look forward to more of your amazing games and amazing races. Andrew, always great to have you on the show. How are the apps and things going with you? Is there a thing new?
No, I got an iPhone 5, so I'm redoing my apps to fit that. That's my excitement.
Well, that'll keep you busy over Christmas.
Yeah, thrilling.
Ali, what do you guys got? Anything big coming up over at World Wildlife Fund? Yeah, Ali's frozen and maybe gone. All right, well, that was Ali Bullock, our friend at World Wildlife Fund, head of communications, who is in and out of the conversation. There he is back. Ali? All right, you got 5 seconds. What do you want to pitch for World Wildlife Fund?
Just wishing everybody a very happy Christmas from all of us guys at the Panda headquarters. So nothing to pitch, just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and definitely want to give a good shout out to Casey and Jamie for a great party last night. Thank you again, guys.
Yes, and for those of you who don't know, it's Ali's birthday this weekend, and he's turning 12. Make sure it's age-appropriate gifts, folks. And I am, thank you, Google Effects. I am Jay Otway. Thank you all once again for joining Social Currents, and we will see you next week. Say goodbye, folks.
Bye.